This is going to be a bit more of a straightforward vlog. To be honest, we've already had a non-stop week.
Yes. We cleaned out our garage. We did 2 Marvel videos that are doing fantastic, by the way, talking about their latest campaign. I don't even know what we did. I flew back from Florida on Friday.
Shira went down to Florida. Her grandmother was doing a little bit unwell. We talked about that last vlog. She's doing okay. She's still works for the wear and turning 90, so it's one of those things that you expect as you get older. But no, we filmed a series of videos. We're preparing to travel down to Florida for Thanksgiving with your family and Hanukkah starting immediately after that. We built a ton of calyxes, re-established and set up the studio at its near final position, and hosted our first ever game night with friends.
And then attended another game night with some more friends.
Yeah, so this vlog, we're just going to hang out, we're going to walk you through the studio space, we're going to walk you through our basement area, and talk with you about, well, what we've learned from hosting. What are some tips and tricks that you could utilize, and more or less, just run you through how our space is coming together, and give you a little bit of a behind the scenes on what we're up to.
Yeah, what we're anticipating. We got some stuff coming down the line as well.
So, with that being said, Shira, you want to give a run through of the basement?
Sure. So, this calyx is the stinging calyx so far. We still have games that we have to show you guys on our shelf for sale segments, but we are starting to get it organized. This is going to be the permanent calyx thus far. It has also run out of room, so we have 2 more calyxes coming along the way for that entire area, as you can see by the vast amount of board games on the floor. This calyx over here is our selling calyx. We are going to have another calyx.
Not entirely. A lot of these games are currently needs to be played.
Need to be played and might be sold, might be shelved. This is kind of the in-between area. Some of these games we for sure know we're getting rid of, but this is going to be the selling calyx. And then the 2 ones that are coming, one is going to be prototypes. Do you want to show them the tower of prototypes we have hanging out in the corner over there?
Sure, just don't say anything important while I pan that direction.
Okay.
Something, but not something very important.
You can take a look at the device that we have going on.
An immense amount of prototypes.
So we're going to have a calyx of prototype stuff that's in flux. And what's the 4th calyx for? We have the ones that we have one up in the studio that we're in process of covering. That's to cover. Shelf, sell, prototypes, and then one that is just going to be a catch-all, as we kind of have to get all of these games organized. Back there on the shelves are all the small box games that we're probably going to do a couple segments of the shelf or sell just doing small box games, roll and write, stuff like that. And then we got the magnificent gaming table that weighs a freaking ton. You don't know how much effort it took to put it down here and then build it. It's got the Quackalope logo inside. It is deep enough to hold very, very substantial minis, which is really nice. It's a little bit of an awkward height sometimes with the topper on top, but it works, and it gives us multiple playing surfaces. We can have 2 games built out underneath this, and then we can have up to 2 games or 3 games even on top. When we had a gaming night this week, we had a lot of games going on here.
Cool. Is that your whole thing?
I think that's my whole thing. Can I show them all the lights now?
Wait. Let me set this right here, and then I'm going to run around the side. Oh, I should spin it so we can actually see that we're in. There you are. Okay, so scoot over.
No,
Scoot
you go
over.
on that side.
No, but I'm trying to talk to the camera.
Don't care.
Okay, the other thing that we were going to talk about is going to be some things that we've learned along the way, and lights down here, like Shira mentioned, is one of the most important factors. For those of you that are hosting a game night, most of the time you would be hosting like this.
And you don't realize it.
This is full brightness,
natural light in a basement.
Now, it is enough that your eyes dilate and you can see things perfectly fine, but our camera is probably struggling to see things. What we've done is we've added 2 standing light posts.
1 and 2, and we have also added a photography light that shows light towards the ceiling. 3. And that one makes the world of difference, honestly. We also have another little one back here for our reading corner.
Doesn't click on.
Doesn't click on. You
Not plugged in.
But there will be another one here, kind of give it a little bit of an aesthetic. We like this type of lights. We like these indie bulb situations. I don't know what they're called. Industrial looking. It's kind of our style that we both enjoy. But it's amazing how much difference light is. Do you want to stand over there? Stand over there so they can see the whole thing. I'm going to do it one more time.
You gotta speak really loud, though.
You talk.
So the important thing with lights is those two add ambient side lights, which is really important for a space, and this one is adding room fill. So, as it clicks off, this is honestly how people would experience this space. It actually is bright enough that you can see everything. Fine. Not great, but fine. When you add in this new context, though, that fill light adds in the amount of light you need to see things, like a bright LED bouncing off the ceiling, and then those two other ones actually give it a warm, atmospheric feel, so you don't actually feel like you're relying on the video light. Instead, you feel like all of your light is coming from these glowing bulbs, when in reality, they're supplementing the experience more than the light. So, is that the basement?
That's the lights in the basement.
Is that the tour? Sure. Anything else you want to go over down here?
No.
About hosting game nights or anything? What else were we going to talk about?
Are we not doing our quick cut thing usually?
No cuts.
No cuts?
Yeah, currently we're still going.
Fantastic. What else were we talking about hosting game night? Well, we were talking about the table, the fact that it is really nice to have lots of surfaces to play games on. Both games that you can leave set up, like campaign games.
We had 3 games going at the same time.
We did. We had 3 games going. We had Stop Undertow. We had Undertow on this end. We had Small Islands on this end. We had Bus at one point under here. We had Iberian Gauge. We had lots of games going on at once. And I'm really excited to get the space up. Right now it's a little claustrophobic. We got a little doggy bed over there. But I'm really happy. The Calyxes come next week. And while we'll be out of town, we'll have a friend let them in the house for us. And when we get back, we'll build them. And then everything can come off the floor. Finally.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The other thing we were going to recommend, if you want to hold the camera towards me, I suppose. Wrong direction. The other thing, we were, you got to flip the screen so that you can actually see me. The other thing we were going to recommend when it comes to hosting your own game night is having a group of friends where everyone's bringing a title, if they can, that they know how to play and they want to play. The way we approached our game night is we had one of our Patreon members actually drove 5 hours to come visit. We had a brand new heavy gamer friend here in the Cleveland area that came over. Shira and I were here, and then Alex dropped by. And everyone contributed something. Our friend that drove 5 hours, well, he prepped Too Many Bones Undertow before he showed up, so he could teach us immediately. The friend that's a heavier gamer taught us Iberian Gauge and Bus, because they're 2 of his favorites. Alex brought down Bristol 19-something, or whatever it was, 1683, which is a game all about social deduction. And I...
Hosted.
Did I teach anything? I hosted and taught Small Islands, and a variety of other titles, because I always do that, right? Not really. Here's the thing. Having everyone contribute a little bit makes the price of a full day of gaming a lot less substantial on one individual person. Hosting is work. It requires time, commitment, effort, and to do it right, you have to be willing to invest in the people around you. But that also comes at a price. You could spend a few days getting prepared for a good game day. Divide that up amongst the group, right? It's a team effort. With that, is that the whole thing we're doing here?
I believe that was the whole thing we were doing down here.
We wanted to show people how to make an old-fashioned.
Yep. We want to talk about having snacks, appropriate snacks that don't get your games dirty, but still you gotta feed people. They get cranky and hungry.
And then I think I just want to go show them the studio upstairs.
Okay.
Right?
Don't show them the living room. The living room's
No,
messy.
not the living room. The studio. The filming location.
Okay.
She says the studio is messy as we,
No, the living room is messy, and I know you're trying to do this all in one shot.
As we leave this.
This is your mess. The living room is my mess.
We're going to show you an old-fashioned, and then we're going to go ahead and show you where we're actually filming and what we've came up with for that space. One of the things that I did when I first got into hosting or teaching people how to... This is not my apron. I thought
the flowers are fabulous.
It'd be fun to put on. One of the things that I did when I first started hosting people, because I love hosting, is figuring out how to make one drink. And you don't have to make an old-fashioned. For me, I'm from Kentucky, and I figured an old-fashioned was a drink that I should just learn how to do. So I'm going to show you my version of an old-fashioned and talk to you about the approach that I'm taking as I make it. Now, the first thing that I realized I'm going to need, I'm going to have Shira back up just a little bit, because I need to get into the freezer to find some ice. So, now there's going to be two different types of ice. We're going to have our regular cubes. We're going to have our big squares. These ice are going to be operating for two different reasons. First off, the big cube is going to be the one that goes into the glass. It's going to be the thing that keeps everything chilled and melts slowly over time. The more surface area, the less surface area, the less water you're going to get in your mix. These are going to be the ice that we use to shake. Now, why do people shake when they create a drink? It melts a little bit of the water into the drink itself, giving it a little bit of a dilution, but also chills everything, meaning that when you pour it over your actual big block of ice here, you're not going to get as much melting as fast because the temperature will already be equal or equivalent. Now, these are Shira's, which means they don't quite fit exactly right. I could go hunting for one that does, or what I've been doing is I've been running them under water to get them to fit. So let me do that real quick. A little bit of water, and hopefully we should squeeze down into it now. Okay, so how do you go about making an old-fashioned? Well, an old-fashioned was invented way back in the day when people had nasty tasting whiskey or bourbons or any of the iteration. It was designed to hide the flavor of the liquor because it wasn't that good. So you mashed up a lot of fruit, covered it with a lot of scents and oils, and made people want to drink the swill that you were sending out. That's not the case with the bourbon that I'm featuring here, which is going to be High West, and this is going to be the American Prairie Bourbon. But honestly, any High West is going to work. It's going to come down to your flavor. I love this distiller. Even though they're out of Utah, they do some of the best mixed concoctions that I've ever came across. And that means, like, this is a blend of Kentucky bourbon. And they're amazing at blending. So, how am I going to go approach this? Well, I always do generous measurements based off of my own read. I don't have exacting anything, but I'm going to start with a little bit of simple syrup. This is basically just sugar water, but it provides a nice palate cleanser and a nice foundation for the drink. I'll pour that out in like maybe a third of everything that I'm putting together. I have this Stirrings Blood Orange Bitters. I found this concoction on Amazon, I don't know, a year ago or so, maybe a little bit more, and it has become my primary go-to. It's a little bit sweet. It's got a little bit of that simple syrup in it, but it also supplements it with a bite from the blood orange. So I'm going to pour in about the same third part there of this. And then finally, if you really want to make an old-fashioned, you're going to have some muddled fruit. I have some blood oranges here. Now, this isn't always necessary. It is a little bit of the fancier way to do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. If I had a peeler, I would go ahead and utilize it. But I'm going to start by peeling just a little bit of the edge of this off here. I don't need a peeler, Shira. You don't need to grab one for me. I appreciate you going for it. Okay, thank you. We have one. I'm not sure how this feels way too close for what we're getting.
Everything was in shot.
So, you could take this and you could peel. If you had a better peeler, you could take this and you could peel the edge of the orange, which is going to give you a little bit of oils because this secretes oils as you do it. But I'm also going to go ahead and slice this in half. Check to see if there's any obvious seeds, which there are not. And then you either want to use a masher or you just want to use your hand. And we're going to squeeze all of that juice down into there. Now, something that I didn't do before I cut this, because I don't do things on camera very often, you could actually roll and squeeze the fruit before you cut it in half. It's a trick that Shira taught me when it comes to lemons. And what that does is it breaks up all the capillaries and allows the juice to run free. Now, in this, I will normally squeeze and drip. Shira is currently giving a look at her floor, which we'll have to make sure we clean. I'll usually squeeze and drip out. The faces I'm getting are horrific. I'll normally squeeze about half an orange into one of these cups, and I'll make sure I get a little bit of that pulp mixed in there as well, because I love a little bit of that earthy pulp in the drink. Finally, we're going to be doing the whiskey. Now, this is going to come to taste, and in the little shaker that we have here, I don't have as much room as I would like, So I'm just going to fill it up right to the brim, and I might actually add more into the cup afterwards. Finally, we're going to take your shaker, we're going to squeeze it down nice and closed, and like I said, the goal of this is to shake until everything here is the same, everything here is the same temperature, and the ice is melted just a little bit. So, give it a shake, and you'll feel the whole container start to get cold, and you'll see frost and condensation start building up on the outside. After you've shaken it for a little bit, you will pop off the top, and you'll go ahead and pour it in. There we have a nice even coloring. Now, the darker it's going to be with the concoction that we have, the sweeter it will be.
You
forgot really something. Depends. I have not forgotten anything, Shira. Don't worry. Now, like I said, I like a little bit of the pulp, so sometimes I'll take, cut, and mash up just a little slice of that into there that you can chew on as you get to the end. And we have the oils that come from this. You want to break it over top of it, and then you want to run the oils right around the rim, and then either cut it and slot it in on the side, because what that's doing is it's giving you a nose, or you can actually just drop the peel directly in, which is going to give the surface layer a cover of oil. And the last thing that Cher is insisting that we forgot is going to be our Luxardo cherries. If you're using any other cherries, you're doing it wrong. These are the best across the board, and I have had a lot of people try them and test them out. So sweet, so rich, candied cherries that just make you want to drool and make you excited to get to the bottom of your drink. I'm going to grab a spoon. Now, the important thing to note here is there's only a limited amount of cherries that come in every container, and a limited amount of syrup and sauce as well. You're going to want to only take about half a spoonful of sauce and about 2 cherries per drink. You don't typically need more. Trust me, they're a treat when you get to the end. You're going to drop those in, go ahead and stir them up. If you're someone like Shira and you like your drink to be more predominantly sweet, you might want to add a little bit more. If you're someone like me and you like a little bit more of a bite, you might add a little bit less of that sauce. Really, the purple color here is going to determine exactly how your drink turns out. So, with that, I'm going to grab this, hand this over, and we will give it a taste.
It makes such a difference, the blood red oranges. We don't usually have them, and so I'm just enjoying. First of all, what you did around the rim is fantastic. Second of all, Nina's calling me. Alright.
Now, it is noon, just so everyone knows. She is an alcoholic, but that's besides the point.
Solid. Too much bourbon, not enough simple syrup and cherries.
Yeah, but I was making it more for me and less for you. So I'll take that, and let's go show them the studio. So the last section of this vlog, this conversation, and let us know, did this work for you for a week when we're not on the road perpetually? We honestly didn't want to film us moving everything out of the garage. I didn't want the camera to get in the way of, I don't know, dinner with your dad or going down to Florida. It's been a week that's just been upkeep. And if you want more personal behind the scenes, we can do that. But we could also just do more of these conversations, floating around, letting you know how things are going, and getting prepared for a larger project next. But we have the studio up and running. So I'm going to hand the camera back off to Shira, and I'm going to run you through the decisions we've made around the studio space. So one of the biggest challenges we have has to do with audio. And if you see, I have a series of curtains hanging down from hooks in the ceiling. It's one of the things about owning a space. You can actually drill into the ceiling without getting in trouble. And these add a little bit of sound dampening, along with the large carpet. Sure, if you pan too far away, you start losing my voice. So please don't do that. Come back to me. You always go chasing like a squirrel. Stop, back up, please. You need to know how to film so we can present. If you have these hanging down, you actually get a little bit of sound dampening. We also have the wool tablecloth on the desk itself, which a lot of people said they liked. I noticed, Shira, in the mirror that you weren't even on my face anymore, so I appreciate it, but I'm going to need you to face me. Stop light so bright. So these give us a little bit of sound dampening, which is fantastic. Over here, up top, we're going to have a rig that we're working, and now you're not moving at all.
You just guys are so critical of me. I am not a professional photographer, videographer.
That's why I'm giving you...
Wear a wearable mic, board game boy, if you want to.
Giving you instructions along the way. Up top here, we're going to have our ceiling rig and a microphone. Now, this mic is not currently working for me. It gets a little bit too much static in the cables. I don't know if it's the type of mic. I don't know if it's the output or the input or whatever the puzzle is that I need to solve. It's not our final version, but a mic hanging down from a top angle is going to be. We need to invest in another shotgun mic or maybe a little bit of a larger condenser mic. I'm not sure. I need to look into that. But we have our wide angle shot now, and instead of a tripod off the ground like we had before, reaching over a scale, this time we hung it from the ceiling with a giant, nice big lens, which opens up the conversation around the rest of the space. So let's come around this way and take a look. First off, giant Calyx shelf here, which is full of things that we need to cover and play and get onto the table. Not all of this is stuff that we have to cover, but we're still refining our Calyx distribution like you saw downstairs. Now I'm going to swing around here. Okay. Are you coming? All right.
Remember, it's harder for me to walk over stuff when I'm holding a precious camera.
So, let's talk about this behind the scenes area here. First off, we only usually have 2 cameras operating. We have the front camera, which is our main camera shot, and then we have the wide angle top camera here. This is going to be the GH5 and the GH5S paired with a Leica 8 to 18 millimeter lens. Both the front and the top for myself and Board Game Co. use the exact same lens. Along with that, right now we're using a Rode shotgun mic, just a little one like we have on top of this vlog camera as well, but I want to get a larger vocal, like audio condenser mic or a pattern mic that kind of goes out in a little bit more of a bubble towards us. Mics operate by a bubble. Finally, we have a series of lighting. We have our key lights behind here, which give us a little bit of ambience. I've seen more compliments on these key lights than anything else. We have a little bit of a floor light that we actually need to update. We have a little bit of a floor light that we actually need to update. Stop doing that. You need to pay attention. We have a little bit of a floor light. I saw her get distracted behind the camera and stop actively filming entirely. So my feedback is warranted. She's like a squirrel going, I'm not in this video, I can just look around, right? What are these lights he's talking about? Up here on the ceiling, we've actually started to hang panels. Ceiling, up here on the ceiling. We've started hanging sound panels to give us a little bit more dampening as well. Everything you can do to keep the audio from bouncing around is important. And then we have 4 key lights that are giving us a little bit of shine. So this is a little bit of glow behind us. Along with those, we have 2 side lights that hit more predominantly on the table profile, 1 key light that's hitting onto the audience, and 1 large light bouncing off of the ceiling, just like we have downstairs, with a big umbrella and diffuser on it, so that we have a spread of light that fills the entire room, because you want to bring the profile of all the room up to a good space, and then add in supplemental lighting for the aesthetic and the style you're going for. The interesting thing is the video looks actually a lot darker, a lot more moody than the environment looks like when we're in here filming. And that's all because we're controlling for the space and then tuning the camera as a result of the bright light, which gives us high quality footage, nice in focus, gives us a lot of depth of field. Whereas if we're doing the opposite, trying to make the room brighter instead of making the room darker in camera, you end up with a lot more noise and you don't get as much room for having everything in focus. So yeah, that's the rundown of what we have going on. I think the studio is coming together. I'm really in love with how it's looking. I hope you all are enjoying it as well. And I will steal this from Shira.
No, I want to just show them Galactus.
Well, we have Galactus. Here, come here.
Galactus.
No, we're saying goodbye.
Galactus, come say goodbye.
No. Shira, okay.
Galactus, come say goodbye.
Stop. I don't.
I like Galactus.
So let us know if you like this approach to a vlog. It is quick. It is simple. He is very fragile. It is quick. It is simple. But we thought it'd be a different take on the highly edited, overproduced versions that we do. Let us know if you like a mix, and in between, if this is perfectly fine some weeks, or if
honestly, this is a lot less work for us, and we're more time crunched, this might be the best.
Or if you only want the type of vlog that we did down in Florida, or us running to 17 different board game stores, listen, we'll make it happen if it's what you're looking for, but we won't know until we experiment. Either way, whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing.
These things.
Fear Galactus, the zombie apocalypse man.
So cool.
He's very cool. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.